We live in an age of hyperconnectivity. You'd think everyone has someone just a click away, right? But for many men out there, life tells a very different story. Behind the screens, the casual "how are you?" and group chats, countless men feel more isolated and disconnected than ever. In fact, we're facing an epidemic, not of disease, but of loneliness, a loneliness that's deeply affecting men, especially young and middle-aged men, in ways that many don't see or even believe. This isn't something you'll often hear men talk about. Silence and solitude can be heavy, especially when it's assumed that real men can handle anything, no matter how isolated they feel. Let's take a closer look at the causes of this hidden epidemic, how it impacts lives, and what we can all do to break this cycle. Section 1. The reality of male loneliness. Research shows that men are less likely than women to have close friendships. Some men can't even name a single person they consider a true friend. Think about that. No one to confide in, share struggles with, or even celebrate wins. Part of this comes from societal expectations. For generations, men have been told to be strong, to avoid showing vulnerability, to handle life on their own. So what happens? Many men push down their feelings, letting loneliness settle in because opening up just isn't what's expected of them. Over time, this internal isolation leads to a profound sense of loneliness that impacts both mental and physical health. Section 2. The staggering impacts of loneliness. Loneliness doesn't just feel bad. It can take a real toll. Studies show that loneliness can increase the risk of premature death as much as smoking or obesity. That's right. Loneliness can actually hurt as much as some of the most well-known health risks. For men especially, this can lead to a rise in mental health issues like depression and anxiety. And because men are less likely to reach out for help, they're left coping with these challenges alone. Tragically, we also see a higher rate of suicide among men, often rooted in a deep-seated sense of loneliness and feeling unseen. But why is it so hard for men to just talk about it? Section 3. Why men struggle to open up. One word: stigma. Men are often taught from a young age that showing emotion is a sign of weakness. "Boys don't cry" is a phrase many of us hear growing up. This mindset becomes so ingrained that by the time men reach adulthood, it feels almost impossible to break. In social situations, even among friends, conversations often stick to surface-level topics. Sports, work, recent news, anything but feelings. The result? Men rarely, if ever, talk about the loneliness they might feel, even with those closest to them. And for single men, the isolation can feel even more intense. Without a partner to share life's ups and downs, loneliness becomes an ever-present companion. There's another layer here too. With the rise of digital communication, many men have fewer in-person connections. It's easy to feel like you're talking to people all the time online, but without face-to-face, genuine interactions, that feeling of connection doesn't really stick. Section 4. The effect of modern masculinity on male loneliness. Today, masculinity is going through a transformation, but there's still a tug-of-war between the traditional strong, silent man and the modern, emotionally open man. Men may want to open up, but that cultural pressure to man up keeps them silent. The fear of being judged, misunderstood, or even mocked for sharing feelings creates a barrier that's tough to break. Some men feel that society isn't always welcoming to their vulnerabilities. They worry about seeming weak, immature, or less competent if they admit they're struggling. But what many don't realize is that expressing emotion is human. It doesn't make someone less of a man. In reality, emotional openness can be one of the greatest strengths anyone can develop. Breaking the cycle of isolation and silence takes courage. But once that wall is broken, it opens up the possibility for real connection and support. Section 5. Technology and its role in male loneliness. Ironically, the technology meant to connect us often deepens this isolation. Social media, dating apps, and even texting give us the illusion of connection without any of the depth. And men, in particular, are feeling this gap. Relationships are often superficial online, leaving many men longing for genuine connection. Many men also replace social connections with solo activities like gaming, streaming, or endlessly scrolling through feeds. While these can be fun distractions, they're rarely a substitute for real, fulfilling friendships. Section 6. The role of media and culture in shaping male loneliness. Another powerful influence on male loneliness is the media and cultural portrayal of men. Think about the movies, TV shows, and even commercials we've all seen. Men are often shown as stoic, tough, and independent, rarely needing emotional support or deep friendships. This portrayal reinforces the idea that real men handle life alone, that they don't ask for help, and that they're always in control. This cultural script can be deeply harmful, causing men to bottle up emotions and withdraw from seeking the very connections that could support them. And sadly, this sense of isolation often gets passed down from generation to generation, making it even harder to break the cycle. When men are shown it's okay to reach out, to admit they're struggling, and to lean on others, it can be a powerful step toward healing the loneliness epidemic. It's about creating a culture that values connection over isolation and openness over silence. Section 7. Breaking the cycle. What men can do. So, where do we go from here? How can we help men break the cycle of silence and start healing the loneliness epidemic? First, reach out. If you're feeling isolated, start with small steps. Call up an old friend, attend local meetups, or join a club or sports team. In-person interaction, even if it feels a bit awkward at first, can go a long way in building meaningful friendships. Second, challenge stereotypes. Let's start redefining what it means to be a man. Vulnerability isn't weakness, it's bravery. Real men do talk about their feelings, their fears, and their loneliness. We can all work to create spaces where men feel comfortable expressing themselves without judgment. Third, prioritize mental health. Therapy isn't just for when things are falling apart. It's a tool to learn more about yourself and improve mental wellness, just like working out improves physical health. Finding someone to talk to, even if it's a professional, can provide a powerful outlet. Lastly, support each other. Be the friend who checks in. If you notice a buddy pulling away or isolating himself, reach out. Don't assume he's fine. Sometimes, just knowing someone cares enough to ask can make a world of difference. A call for change. Male loneliness isn't just a personal issue, it's a societal one. We all have a role to play, whether we're creating space for men to feel safe opening up or simply lending a compassionate ear. Men, just like anyone else, need to feel valued, heard, and connected. It's time to break the stigma around loneliness and mental health, especially for men. If you're watching this and feeling lonely, know you're not alone. There are people who care, communities out there, and ways to break the silence. The first step might feel daunting, but you deserve connection, friendship, and a community where you feel valued. Thank you for being here and taking the time to listen. Let's keep this conversation going, not just here, but in our lives, because change starts when we start talking.